Peace and greetings, you guys. What's good? It's your girl Naya here, back for another video, and this video is going to be decks that I never use. So in the Facebook Tarot Nerds group, July 2018 is going to, the theme of the month is decks that you don't use or that you barely ever use. So I was looking through my collection, and even though I'd say I have a healthy collection, there are certain decks that I've had for a while that I don't reach for, or I haven't really given the time. So I picked a few, and then I will flip through some of them and talk about, just talk about them, I guess. So let's just jump right into it. If not, this video is going to be 100 years long. All right, so one deck that I've had for a while now, I'd say I had this one at least about a year, is going to be the Golden Tarot by Cat Black. And so I think that this deck is extremely beautiful, but I don't reach for it as often as I feel like I should. Maybe it's because, I was like, well, this is the year. Like, I got this right before I knew I was going to switch over towards focusing my efforts and studies on the Thoth system. But this deck is extremely beautiful, and the few readings that I have ever done with it have been really powerful, really empowering, very tactful, I guess. And I don't know, I feel like maybe this is one of those decks that either people really love it or people underestimate its potency, I guess. And that was for me at first. I was really on the fence about whether I should get this deck, and then it just kept calling to me. Like, look at this moon card. Isn't that everything? So yeah, so this is one of those decks that I just don't reach for like that. Like I said, maybe it's just it got a bad deal just because I picked it up right before I was switching my study efforts to the Thoth system. But yeah, so this is one of those decks that I kind of wish I reached for more. So I will try to find a way of incorporating it this month. I do have this one on the side for that purpose. Same thing kind of goes with the Mystical Tarot. This is from Los Scarabeo, and in this deck, I've had my ups and downs in regards to whether do I feel this deck? Does it speak to me? Does it call to me as a reader? And so some images I'm kind of like, all right, I guess, and then there's other images that really stick out to me, and I'm like, oh, whoa, you're the reason why I have this deck. Like, let me see. Like, I really enjoy this Lover's card. I just think it's very beautiful the way that they did it. I like the Hermit card. His posture is just a little bit different than normal, and I can see not the clouds, but like the galaxies and planets and stuff in the sky. So I like that. I think the Wheel of Fortune is beautiful. I think this is actually a really beautiful deck, more or less. There's just some cards that, if I'm skipping them, it's because I feel like they're like not all that. Or they leave something to be desired, I suppose. This Death card is pretty cool. I enjoy the Temperance. I think the art style is really beautiful. This Devil card is everything, though. When I was flipping through it a little bit earlier today, I was like, oh, you're the reason why I have this deck. Here's the Tower. Here's the star. The moon is really cool too. I like this moon card. I just love that everything seems otherworldly, and the dogs are like, and the crawfish is like extra big. This sun is pretty cool. Like, this sun has 3 faces, yo. What's up with that? So, you know, I'm okay with the the majors for the most part. Like I said, some cards are, you know, leave much to be desired. Some of them are kind of like, what is going on here? Like in this image, this person is not even looking at the cups. So what is, you know, this is going to change the context of the cards. I mean, it could work, I'm sure. But, you know, there's some fantasticalness going on in it. I haven't had a chance to work with it yet. So again, I think I got a bad deal as far as like I got it in the couple of months prior to my my switching over to focusing on the thought system. So that's deck number 2. I did kind of try to bring it down to a top 10-ish, so just so you guys kind of get a feel for where I'm at with this. So the next deck that I barely ever use that I own is the Wild Unknown Tarot. So this is one of those decks that I know there was a lot of popularity when it first came out. It's still very popular, very much loved. As far as the community goes, I am aware of that. So I'll say this, the cardstock is lovely. I got this when it first came out. I just never really reached for it. I never went for it. And maybe perhaps I'm just so accustomed to seeing human figures in the cards that that working with the animal energies through the lens of tarot maybe had me stumped a little bit. I love the artwork. I love the pen, the raw kind of pen and ink, you know, that works with it. The cardstock is beautiful. Again, it's just one of those decks I haven't really spent time with, but I've had this one for at least 2 years, maybe 3, now that I'm thinking about it. And throughout this whole time, I just don't reach for it like that. Like for client readings and stuff, I don't reach for this one. I've had this deck out this year because I've been meaning, like, okay, you know, maybe I love this hermit though. That is so cool. You know, meaning to work with it, spend time with it. It is a pippy type of deck. It's definitely not TDM at all, but there's something about it that you know, that I feel like it just kind of deserves its own time. Kind of like, hey, let me give it a month or something to just dedicate working with it. But you know, my studies have led me in other directions, so I just don't reach for it. I feel like I'm trying to justify myself. I just haven't. And I'm not really repulsed or, you know, feel like repelled against it. I just feel like it's not our time yet. Like, it will be at some point, but right now, like this year is probably not the time, even though I'm keeping it out. Like, don't worry, you know, I haven't forgot about you kind of thing. Or like to remind myself, don't forget, like, you want to work with this deck. And every time, and sometimes I'll shuffle through decks that I haven't used and I'm like, you know what, I'm not jiving with this one, and I don't think I'm ever going to reach for it. But this one I keep coming back to, like, one of these days, you know. So that, I mean, you guys have seen that, I'm sure, plenty of times. But that's my story with the Wild Unknown. I do have the Animal Spirit Oracle deck that was released, and I enjoy using that. I think the animal symbolism strictly in regards to tarot is something I need to like wrap my head around, I suppose, and see how it, you know, see how it works for me, if it really will work for me or not. But I haven't given up on it, just don't use it like that. All right, so next up, what's next? So one deck that I have that I love, that I used to use all the time, but I haven't really reached for, is the Fountain Tarot. And I don't know why I haven't reached for it. Again, maybe it's because my studies have just, you know, split the path, and this one kind of falls under the Rider-Waite camp. But this deck is just so good. The artwork is beautiful. The symbolism is all there. It's clean, it's clear, it's crisp, and it works. At first I was like, maybe this feels too minimalistic for me. Like at first, when I first, you know, was looking at it on channels, but when you get it in your hands, at least for me, when I got it in my hands, I was able to pull out so much more information just because it had this sense of airiness that I could kind of work with, whilst at the same time providing symbols that I would normally look for, and reinterpreting that in a new and fresh kind of way. And it's a diverse deck. It's modern, contemporary, it's fine art, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I don't reach for it the way that I once did, but I would not part with this deck because it's been good to me. But I don't reach for it. I've had this one, I'm trying to think when I did my unboxing. This had to be 2-3 years ago. I know some of my uploads that I have on this channel are pullovers from an old channel that I had, and I was just trying to like minimize my digital clutter, so it probably might look like, you know, whenever I started this channel I did this, but I've had this guy for a couple of years now. Okay, so that's those, and then these guys. Okay, so another deck that I have that I don't reach for, and I've had it as long as I've had my Alchemical Tarot. I'm pretty sure you've guessed it. It's going to be the Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery. This is a deck that I always meant to get around to using, but prior to this year, there wasn't really a dedicated book for it. There was some you know, there was reference to some of, you know, the elements of what you might find in this deck, but not really something super comprehensive. So what Robert M. Place did is he created this ginormous book. Oh goodness, I'll pull it out so you can see the title. It is the Tarot, Magic, Alchemy, Hermeticism, and Neoplatonism. And it says, so here's the title. And then on the bottom it says, A Guide to Waite-Smith Tarot, the Alchemical Tarot, and the Tarot of the Sevenfold Mysteries. So, you know, as soon as I saw that, I was like, yes, I own that deck. I never really had an opportunity to like bond with it in that way as much as I've always wanted to. Because it's unique. Like this name right here, like who is that? What am I looking at? What does it mean? But, you know, true to form, or true to his art style, I mean, it has that same. And I really love the Alchemical Tarot, so I wanted to really give this guy a shot at some point. So I'm glad he came up with a book that works, you know, that breaks this particular deck down. Because I know there's some unique pictures in here. Let me see if I can find one. So like this one, it has, if you can see that, it says justice and reason on there. I think there's virtues in here. Here's reason, will, and appetite, and psyche. All on this one card, which would be the Chariot. Yeah, the Chariot. But, you know, why are those words there? Like, this is me. I want to know, why are these words here specific to this card? Here we have Cupid, love, will, appetite, fidelity for the Lovers card. But it says Cupid on top. So, you know, just, it's like, well, out of curiosity, what does he have going on here? I really think that this Two of Cups is pretty awesome. So, yeah. So, Tarot of the Sevenfold Mysteries, it is one of those decks that I've had for at least 3 years that I never reached for, and I explained why already. Okay, next up is the World Spirit Tarot. I got this with every intention of using it all the time. Like, I thought we were going to hit it right out the ballpark, and we were going to, you know, bond and everything. And it just did not. So here we have the World Spirit Tarot by Lauren O'Leary. And this, again, this is one of those decks. I've had this for at least 3 years, and I barely ever reach for it. Now, I don't know if it's maybe perhaps I have a more difficult time connecting with decks that seem more fairy tale-ish in the images, almost cartoony. Maybe that might be something I need to work through and just say screw it and keep this deck out. This deck is diverse, it's different, and I mean, it's actually really cool. You know, I just don't know why I don't reach for it. Maybe I had it in a bad spot on the shelf, I don't know. But I did pull this one out and put it on the side, like, okay, every time I flip through you, I'm like, oh yeah, you're gorgeous, I want to work with you. And then somehow it finds itself in the back burner, and me forgetting about it. And I don't think that's cool, you know. Oh, was I flipping these? Oh, I was. You know what I'm saying? So the World Spirit Tarot, I'm gonna have to pull this guy out and give it a go and see how it jives for me, because I've been wanting to use this card, or this deck, excuse me, for the longest and just haven't gotten around to it. So I do have, you know, decks in my collection that I really haven't worked with as much as I would like. So, World Spirit Tarot. And so that's as far as like the decks that I have that are older in my collection. And I don't want to go too crazy and be like, oh, well, I never used this one and I never used that one. But I wanted to give you guys kind of like a heads up of decks that I own, that I haven't reached for, and that I feel like it's perfectly okay to have decks in your collection that you don't reach for, as long as the intention and the passion to want to work with it is still there. Then it's not a waste, and it's not taking up space, and it's technically not collecting dust, because you can always pull it out and always reassess, you know, hey, this is what I want to do. So the next 3, and I'm gonna just make these quick because my battery is gonna die on my recording device here, are some newer purchases or more recent purchases. I did purchase these this year. And so Tarot de Aux Arcs, I haven't really had a chance to have too much fun with this guy yet. It is a TDM deck, beautiful, whimsical, artsy. It's so much fun. This, you know, I want to indulge in this guy a little bit. Who fell out? The 6 of Discs. I think the deck is saying, I understand you're trying to balance a lot. But look at Temperance. How pretty, right? It's so good, and it's so colorful, and it's so like, it's not traditional in the sense of like the colors, the lines are kind of all like sloppy in regards to like a TDM style deck. But I love, this is my jam. This is my jam right here. So again, not the oldest deck. This is a recent year purchase, but one of the decks that I want to make sure to build a relationship with, a working relationship with. Here is the Soprafino Tarot, which I did pick up this year, and it's one of those decks that again, it's TDM. It's not really where my focus is this year, so I think that's probably why it's not getting as much love as I would like to give it. But I love the patina on it. I think it just looks so old world and cool, and like I could just see myself, and the cardstock, the the Il Meneghello cardstock is amazing. I know people have said it. I know people say it. I'm saying it now too. It's beautiful cardstock. And I don't know about you guys, when you get a new deck, do you smell it like a brand new book? Yeah, it has its own beautiful smell. But yeah, you know, like look at this. Like there's this, they kept the stains and stuff, because I mean it's a reprint or remastery of the Soprafino deck, but still. And it's a smaller deck as far as like, you know, how you hold it in your hand, like, which I appreciate, because sometimes you need smaller cards to travel with and stuff. So I look forward to getting to know Soprafino at some point soon. I don't own too many TM decks, I don't think. And then as far as Thoth base goes, because this whole time, you know, I'm going on and on about these other decks that are not Thoth based, but another one that I want to get to know really well soon is the Tarot of the Spirit by Pamela and Joyce Eakins. I find this deck to be incredibly beautiful. I did purchase it this year. And it reminds me of the Jeopardy as far as the tones and the colors are concerned. The art style kind of is reminiscent of it. Of course, the depiction and the execution are completely different. But I feel like this deck would give really good readings. And since I am on the Thoth train, this might probably be one that I'll pull out before any of the others, just because I'm already on that train of thought. But like, look at this moon though. Like the purples and the blues, the grays and the silvers, the sense of nighttime, the sense of dreaming. It's all the symbols are there. It's so good. Like here's the sun. I think it's just gorgeous. Again, so I mean, this is one that I don't reach for, or haven't reached for, or haven't used, really because I've been kind of keeping it to basics with the regular Thoth deck, the Tabula Mundi. But I feel like pulling this one in is gonna serve me well at some point. So yeah, so here's the Lovers. Here's the Fool. I mean, look, it's something pretty to look at, and it still has function. So for me, that's a double win, because I feel like this could be considered an art deck, but it's also a good reader. I have used it a couple of times for like dailies and stuff, but I haven't read with it for clients or anything like that. But you know, I feel like I could go places with this. It'll spark that not that curiosity, but that creativity in me, the muse. It like rouse the muse to get up and start ruminating and just allow the spoken language to just flow through without the extra ums and ahs and me overthinking things. Because sometimes that happens. Sometimes I get too aware of what I'm saying, and then I mess up my own speech patterns. So my loves, that is basically, oh well, I'm gonna throw in one bonus one. Hopefully my phone doesn't die. One bonus one, and it's not tarot, okay, but it's my channel. Do what I want. It's gonna be the Secret Dakini Oracle. I've been talking about this all year, and I still haven't sat down with it. I play with it, I shuffle with it, I look at it, but I haven't really sat down and like gotten to the guidebook and broke it down for what it is. But every little reading I've ever test drove with it has been extremely powerful, extremely insightful, extremely interesting. Yeah, it's like I said, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but there's something about it. There's something about it that that still calls to me. It's still calling to me. It's been calling me ever since I first picked up the deck. So I want to make sure that by the time the year is out, that I have given it some fair time to work with. So my loves, thank you for watching and hanging with me. Let me know what decks you don't really, that you barely use, that you own and that you don't reach for as often, and which ones are you looking forward to reacquainting yourself with, or building a new relationship, working deck relationship with. Let me know what you think, or let me know what your thoughts are, and so until next time, my loves, much love, many blessings, peace.